everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing really well. So in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make this super cute baby doll puff sleeve top. This was definitely one of my favourite ones to make, especially towards the end of summer. I just wanted a perfect transition top between summer and autumn, and this definitely is that top. So let's just get into the tutorial. Okay, so for this project you are going to need your main colour of yarn. I'm going to be using this cream yarn, and I actually undone this from a jumper that I already owned. So I did look at the label and it says it's 100% acrylic yarn. However, I think the way that it's been spun just makes it feel like very good quality. So you want preferably some sort of anti-pilling yarn. You don't have to use anti-pilling yarn, but I really liked the effect of this kind of yarn on this top, so maybe something, a acrylic cotton blend, or 100% cotton, or an anti-pilling acrylic is also good. So I've got roughly about 300 grams of this, but I don't think that I'm going to be using the full 300 grams. So depending on what size you're going to make, you may need more or less yarn. I'm going to be making a small to medium size. This is going to fit my body. So it's completely customizable, so it just might vary how much yarn you need, but I would definitely go for a base of 200 to 250 grams. And for hooks today I'm going to be using 3 different sizes. I've got a 3.5mm hook to start with, and that's what I'm going to be using to crochet the bra cups and the back panels, and this is going to be the hook that you really want to use for the most coverage. So if you want to use even a 4mm hook or a 5mm hook, that's fine, but just my tension is quite loose, so I just like to size down a hook. But whatever hook works for you when you make clothing and gives you good coverage. Then I'm going to be using a 5.5mm hook, so slightly larger, and this is going to be the beginning of the increases and the frills, and then it's also going to be the hook that I'm using for the puff sleeves. And then lastly I've got a 7mm hook. This is going to purely be used on the bottom section of the frill baby doll section. So the bottom part of the top is going to make it the most flowy. It's going to create a slight bit of mesh, but nothing too crazy, and it's just going to give a really nice effect. So generally you want some sort of progression in size. You want a small, a medium and a large hook. So if you've got different hook sizes but generally they are small, medium and large, then that's going to work just fine. And I'm going to be using a sewing needle and I'm going to sew my panels together, but if you prefer to crochet them together then you can go ahead and do that. And then I'm also going to be using a stitch marker. So I'm going to be starting off by showing you how to do the bra cup. So they look quite triangular, but when they are on they are going to have a lot more shape to them. It's just because on its own it looks quite triangular, and we're essentially going to be starting up here, so we technically will be working upside down like this. We're going to start off with the small strap section. We're going to start increasing all the way on both sides, and then once the work reaches the center of the armpit, which for me was right here, I then stopped increasing on one side and then just continued increasing on the other side. And this section here is going to be kind of like the side boob section, and this here is going to go out towards the center of the chest. And then the last row I do end up rounding the edges off, so I just do one decrease row to just kind of round them off so they're not super square. So if I just flip it back to how it normally looks, you can see that if it was to be up against me, you know, I've got the kind of armpit section here, this would be the armhole, this would be the side, and then this would be like the center of the chest, and it would meet right here in the center of the chest. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and then you want to make 2 of these, and then once you've made 2 you just want to make sure that one's flipped the other way so that they are both like mirroring each other. Okay, so now I'm going to start by showing you the bra cup section. So I'm just going to take my main colour and make a slip knot, and then I'm going to take my smallest hook, my 3.5mm hook, and I'm going to make a chain of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, like this. And then I'm basically going to start my first row by flipping the chain over so I'm working on the back. I'm going to go into these back bumps, so these are the horizontal bumps right behind each chain. This is going to make our work look super neat. So I'm going to turn my chain over to the back, and I'm going to work in that second back bump right there, so that's the bump right behind the second chain. and I'm going to do half double crochets. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into that second back bump, yarn over again and pull through that back bump, 3 loops on the hook, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. So I'm going to repeat that into the next 3 back bumps as well to finish the first row. So again, yarn over, insert my hook into the next back bump, yarn over again and pull through that back bump, 3 loops on the hook, and I'm going to yarn over one more time and pull through those 3 loops. Again into the next stitch, yarn over, insert your hook into that bump, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And the last one, yarn over, insert your hook into that back bump, yarn over and pull through, and yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Okay, so this is what it should look like after your first row is complete. And then to start our second row, I'm going to chain 1 and turn the work. So I'm turning the work now, working in the opposite direction on the back of the work. From row 2 to row 5, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm just going to do 1 half double crochet into each stitch. This time, instead of going into a back bump though, we've now got stitches that go along the top. So we've got these V stitches. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap my end in to the work. So I'm just going to yarn over, wrap that end over the hook and just hold it there because I just want to weave it in. I'm going to insert my hook into that very first stitch, that very first V that we see right there. And then I'm going to half double crochet as normal, yarn over and pull through that stitch and also that end as well. We're just going to combine them as if they were just one stitch. 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So just like we were doing in the previous row, we were just doing 1 half double crochet, and this time we're just working into the next stitches. So again, yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch, including that tail into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. I'm just going to do the exact same thing into those last 2 stitches. That very last one can be a little bit more fiddly, but kind of tilts to the side. And that is the end of row 2. So for row 3, I'm going to chain 1 and turn the work again. It's the exact same thing. I'm just going to loop this end in because we've still got a little bit left. Exact same thing, I'm going to do 1 half double crochet into that very first stitch, and I'm looping that tail over and including it in that stitch. Yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So just like we did in the previous row, just weaving this tail in, 1 half double crochet into each stitch. So it's just 4 stitches in the row. It's nice and simple. That very last one sort of tilts on the edge, so you have to kind of wiggle your hook into each loop individually sometimes. Okay, that's the last one. So I'm just going to leave that little end there hanging, and I can trim that later. So we've now got 3 rows in total, 1, 2, 3. So we're now going to do our 4th row of this step, so I'm going to chain 1 and turn the work, and I'm just doing the exact same thing, 1 half double crochet into each stitch. And then 1 more row, this is now row 5, chain 1 and turn the work, 1 more row of half double crochets. Okay, so that's it for this section here, and now we're going to start increasing, and you want your increases to continue until it reaches the centre of the armpit. So I don't mean that it goes and reaches under the armpit into the middle, you just want the length of it to reach roughly where the centre of the armpit is, and you can hold it up against you. So to make an increase, it's nice and simple, we simply just do 2 half double crochets in 1 stitch. So I'm just going to chain 1 and turn the work, and this time I'm doing 2 half double crochets into the first stitch. And then I'm going to continue doing 1 half double crochet into the next 2 stitches, and then into that final stitch I'm going to do another 2 half double crochets, and this is going to increase it at both sides. We're going to be making the edges go outwards, kind of like a V shape. Okay, so we've now just increased our stitches from 4 to 6 because we ended up doing an extra stitch at the beginning and an extra stitch at the end, so we've just added 2 to our row. Okay, so that is our first increase row, that was row 6, and now for row 7 I'm going to chain 1 and turn the work, and this time I'm not increasing, I'm just going to be doing a half double crochet into each stitch. So no increases for this row. So now I'm going to be repeating row 6 and row 7, like I said before, until the work reaches the centre of the armpit section. So for me, that is going to be until row 29. So I'm just going to chain 1 again and turn the work. And this time I'm going to be doing my increase row. So 2 half double crochets at the beginning and 2 half double crochets at the end. And then in the centre, just 1 half double crochet into each stitch. So I'm just doing 1 in each stitch here, and then I've reached the end, so I'm now going to do 2 half double crochets. And then I'm going to do my row 7 technically, chain 1, turn the work, and then 1 half double crochet into each stitch all the way across. Okay, so that's pretty much the pattern for this increase section. So I'm going to come back once I've reached row 29, and that is going to be where I stop, because that is where the work reaches my armpit, the centre of my armpit, but it might be different for you based on your size. So just continue until the work reaches your armpit, and if you want it to increase more quickly, then you can do your increases every single row if you want to, or if you want to reduce the amount of increases you're doing, you can do it every 2 rows. So you can do 2 normal rows and then an increase row, 2 normal rows and an increase row. So whatever looks good to you, you can experiment with, but I'm just going to be doing it this way. So I'm going to come back at row 29 and then I'm going to show you the next step. Okay, so I've now done my 29 rows and it reaches from the top of my shoulder down to the armpit on this side. So now I'm going to create the increase section only on one side and then leave the other side just going straight down. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn the work, and this is now row 30. And like I said, we're just going to increase on one inside edge. So just pick any side you want to increase on, and I'm going to just do this first stitch here. So I've just done my 2 half double crochets there, and then I'm just going to do 1 half double crochet into each stitch all the way across. Okay, and then once you reach the end of the row, you're going to do the next row, which is just going to be a normal row, so there's no increases. So just chain 1 and turn the work, and then just do 1 half double crochet into each stitch, and then you just want to repeat those rows. So that is going to be row 30 and 31 for me, but your numbers might be different, where you want to alternate between that row. So you want to increase only at one side for your first row, and then for your second row you just want to do normal half double crochets, so no increases. And then your following row again will just be an increase on that exact same side, and then your next row is going to be a normal row of half double crochets. So continue to increase only at one edge every other row until the work reaches the centre of your chest. So you want the increase row right here to go all the way across and down and hit the middle of your chest. Okay, so I've now done my 39th row, and now I'm going to do my 40th row, which is the final row. If you want to continue doing increases because your work hasn't reached the under boob, then you can carry on doing increases, or you can just do normal rows if you don't want to increase anymore but you just want to make it a little bit longer. You can just do normal rows where there's no increases on either side, you're just doing half double crochets. But I'm now going to start my last row, so I'm going to chain 1 and turn the work, and I'm simply just going to skip this first stitch right here, and I'm just going to do my half double crochet into that second stitch, like that. So we're just going to reduce 1 stitch on the row. And now I'm going to do half double crochets all the way to the end, and then when I get to the last 2 right here, I'm going to skip this second to last one and just do a half double crochet in that last one. Okay, so I'm just about to do my last half double crochet, so I'm going to skip that second to last stitch, and in that very last stitch complete the half double crochet. Okay, so this is just going to round off the edges a little bit, and now I'm just going to chain 1 and fasten off. Like that. So when you place the bra cups either side, and you might need to flip one to do it, you should have this kind of V shape. Don't worry, because it is going to stretch, so it should be more of like a curved V like this. So I'm just going to set these aside and now show you how to do the back panels. So for the back panels, you're going to want to make 2 of these, so make a slip knot, and with your hook again chain 5, and then once again, like we did at the beginning of our front panels, I'm going to flip the chain over, and I'm going to do 1 half double crochet into that second back bump from the hook, and then I'm going to do 1 half double crochet into each back bump all the way across the row. Okay. And then just like we did for our beginning of the front panels, we're going to do 4 rows of half double crochet. So I'm just going to chain 1, turn the work, and make 1 half double crochet into each stitch all the way across. And I'm going to be doing that for 4 more rows. So this is my second row. I'm going to be doing it until I've finished row 5. Okay, and then once you've done your 5th row, we're now going to be starting the increase rows. So for row 6, I'm going to chain 1 and turn the work, and I'm going to increase at the first stitch and the last stitch. So 2 half double crochets into the first stitch, then half double crochet across, so just 1 in each stitch across, and then in that last one another 2 half double crochets, and this is going to bring your stitches up to 6. Okay, and then for row 7, chain 1, turn the work, and we're going to do a normal row of half double crochet. Just no increases, just 1 in each stitch. So for this row that's 6 half double crochets. Okay, and now I'm just going to repeat row 6 and row 7 until the work is the exact same amount of rows as the front panels. So I'm going to continue until the work is 40 rows in total. I'm going to come back once that's done, and then you want to repeat the exact same thing for the second back panel. So after you've done your last row, you just want to chain 1 and fasten off, and then I'm going to repeat the exact same thing again so that I have a second back panel. Okay, so I've just finished both of the back panels, so now I'm just going to lay each front panel down on top of it. So you want the straight side seam to be on the outside, because that is going to be right up against your rib cage, like this. And then I'm simply just going to sew the seams right here at the top to attach that. And then after you've sewn your top seams together, you can just put this on over your shoulder and hold it down as if it were to be fitted properly, and then just mark with a stitch marker, or just kind of mentally mark where you want the armhole to start and stop. So the armhole is going to be from the top of the shoulder, and you just want to place a stitch marker on both sides, or just mark it out in your head how long you want the armhole to be. So if you want it to be all the way down here, then you can obviously mark that, but if you want to join it, say here, and leave this hole open, then you can just sew this seam right here. So I'm just going to sew the top seam and then try it on, and then see where I want the armhole to kind of finish, and then I'm going to sew the seam where it has the crochet rows left, and then I'm just going to repeat the exact same thing on the other side, and then I can show you how we're going to join the back together. Okay, so I've now attached the seams of the side of the top and then also the top straps, and now I've just got the top facing up on the right side, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to kind of start the bottom section, which is going to go down the rib cage and flow out to be the bottom of the top. So depending on whenever you've tried this on, if you find that there is still a gap at the back of your work between these two back panels, so say that there is a larger gap, then I'm going to show you how you can make a chain at the back to ensure that it still wraps nicely and fits across your back. I've tried mine on and I don't need to do a chain, so I'm just going to simply be joining them together. I'm just going to do like a little stitch seam. So I'm simply just going to be joining the front together, like here, just the seam here, and then also the back seam right here. So I'm just going to do that now, and then I'm going to show you how we attach the on and do the rib cage section. So I've joined both of my seams together and now flipped it back to the front of the work, and now I'm going to just turn it upside down, and we're going to be starting in the center of the chest, and we're going to be making a half double crochet into each stitch all the way around to the back. If you're right-handed, you'll be working this way and going around to the back. Because I'm left-handed, I'm going to be going this way, but you want to stop once you get to this middle section here, or if you've not attached your seams yet at the back where that first back panel is, you want to stop there, and then you just want to make a small chain and then connect it to the other side. You can adjust however long you want the chain to be. If you want your top to be a lot wider at the back, then you can do more chains, or you can do less chains if you want it kind of more cinched in. I didn't need to do any chains, so I just seamed mine together. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically just going to grab my main colour. I've made a slip knot, and I'm just going to insert it into the centre of the chest right here. I'm going to pull my slip knot through like that, and then just chain one to attach it, and then to the very same stitch and then I'm just going to make a half double crochet into the next stitch right here. So I'm just going to make my half double crochet into that first stitch, and then I'm just going to half double crochet all the way along into each stitch, all the way around until I reach the middle. If you haven't joined the back seam up yet, because you still need to allow more space and the top isn't fitting, then once you get to the end of that first back panel, that very last stitch, you then just need to make a chain that equals the space that is missing from your back section. So if you have a gap at the back of your work where the panels aren't meeting of say 5 centimeters, then you need to make a chain that is equal to 5 centimeters. And then once that chain is done, you can then just continue to half double crochet around onto the other side and then back round to the beginning. I don't need to do a chain at the back because I tried mine on and it was fitting fine. I'm just going to continue making one half double crochet into each stitch all the way around, and I'm literally just going to continue going all the way around until I reach the beginning. So either you need to make a chain at the back and then continue half double crocheting, or you need to just carry on half double crocheting. So I've just reached around to the other side, and from this point forward I'm going to just be working in circles going all the way round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start my next round and I'm going to switch hooks now. So I'm going to switch to my 5.5mm hook, and I'm going to start my next half double crochet literally where that next one is. So right where that chain one is, skip that chain and then just insert the hook right into that first half double crochet, and it might be a bit fiddly because you are using a bigger hook, so you might need to just kind of pull the stitch out a little bit. Like that, and then just complete your half double crochet as normal. Okay, so at this point now I'm going to place the stitch marker into that half double crochet that I've just completed with my 6mm hook, and that is going to mark the start of the round. So this round is going to be double crochets and a treble crochet. So I'm going to do 1 double crochet into the next stitch, so I'm just going to yarn over, insert my hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, 3 loops on the hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, and now I've got another 2 loops on my hook, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through those last 2 loops like that. Okay, so that's the double crochet, and then I'm going to do a treble crochet into the next stitch. So I'm going to yarn over twice like that. I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through. You should have 4 loops on the hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the second 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. So that stitch is a lot taller. And then I'm now going to repeat the double crochet and the treble crochet all around. So into the next stitch, a double crochet, so yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Into the next stitch, a treble crochet, so I'm going to yarn over twice, insert the hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. Once again I'm going back to the double crochet for the next stitch, so yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. Into the next stitch, a treble crochet, so yarn over twice, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, last step, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So now I'm just going to alternate the double crochet and the treble crochet all the way around. Once I get to the stitch marker, I'm going to do my last stitch, and then I'm going to replace the stitch marker, and then from that point I'm going to be grabbing my 7mm hook, and I'm going to repeat that same row again, doing a round of double crochet and treble crochet, at this point just purely using the 7mm hook. So I'm just going to continue with the 7mm hook, repeating those stitches until the top reaches the length that I want when I try it on. Stop at that very last stitch marker when you have done as many rows as you think looks good and you're happy with the length, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to fasten off. Okay, so I've now completed my final round of my double crochet, treble crochet sequence, and I've just reached that very last treble crochet. Well, my last stitch was a treble crochet, I just kept alternating, and now I'm going to show you how to fasten off. So we're basically just going to insert the hook into the next stitch in the row, and then we're going to do a slip stitch. So we're going to yarn over, pull through the stitch, and then pull the first loop through the second, so like slipping it through, and then you just want to chain 1 and fasten off. And just take the stitch marker out, and we can weave this end in later. And now we're going to be focusing on the puff sleeves. For the puff sleeves I'm going to be using my my medium size hook, so that is going to be my orange hook, which is the 5.5mm hook. So we're going to be now doing the armhole, so you want to make sure that your work is facing the front, and just take one of the armholes, and we're going to be starting right on that kind of bottom section right under the armpit. So just push your hook through any of those spaces in that general area, and then take your working yarn and make a slip knot, and then just pull the slip knot through, and then chain 1 to attach it. Once you have done your very last double crochet, you just want to place a stitch marker there, and then we are just going to continue on from that point. So that is going to mark the end of the first round, and then we're going to start the next round going into that first double crochet stitch right there. So I'm just going to make a slip stitch to join it, and I'm just going to be making 2 double crochets into each stitch all the way around. So nice and simple, we're just doing an increase round, and I'm going to be doing 2 double crochets into each stitch all the way around. So I'm going to continue that, and then I'm going to meet you back by the end of the round. So once I got to the end of the round, I'm just going to replace the stitch marker into the very last stitch that I did, and then I'm just going to continue into the next double crochet. So I'm not slip stitching this time, I'm just going straight into the next double crochet, and I'm going to just make 1 double crochet into each stitch all the way around. So no increases, just 1 in each stitch. For round 4, I'm now going to decrease, so I'm just going to start off with 1 double crochet into the first 2 stitches. And then I'm going to decrease into the next 2 stitches, so yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, and then repeat that again, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And then I'll repeat that again, so 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches, and then I'll do the decrease, so yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2, and then the final step is yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, and then you just want to repeat that sequence all the way around. For the next round, I'm just going to be doing 1 double crochet into the first stitch and then a decrease stitch, so just like we did before. And then you just want to repeat that sequence all the way around, so 1 double crochet into the next stitch and then a decrease stitch, and you just want to alternate the 1 double crochet and then the decrease all the way around. And then for the next round, I'm just going to do purely decreases, so just decrease into each stitch all the way around. And you want to do this round for as many times as you feel necessary, because I did not find that my sleeve was tight yet around my arm. So I just did this for another round to ensure that it was nice and tight. So just repeat doing the decreases into each stitch until you are happy with how tight the sleeve is. So I ended up only doing 2 rounds of just purely decreases, but you may only need to do 1, or you may need to do more than I have. And then once you have completed your final decrease round, you then just want to insert your hook into the next stitch and make a slip stitch, and then chain 1 and fasten off. And I just left a longish tail for sewing later on. So for the final step, I just decided to basically do a border outline stitch of single crochets around the neckline and the back, so just right on the edges of the bra cups. So I basically just inserted my hook into the middle of the back panel and then pulled the slip knot through and chained 1 to attach it. And then I did a sequence of 4 single crochets, and then I skipped a space and then did a single crochet into the next sort of available space where I skipped. So then I just repeated that all the way around, so another 4 single crochets and then skip a space, single crochet, 4 single crochets, skip a space, single crochet, and so on all the way around. So I just work all the way from the back up over the right shoulder, down the front of the chest, and then up to the left shoulder, and then back down to the center of the back. So I just continue that all the way to the back, and then once I do reach the back, I then just slip stitch back into the first single crochet that I made. And then I just chain 1 and fasten off, and that is pretty much everything for the top, and then I just weave in any ends. And that is everything for this tutorial. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys want to see me make next, especially with fall coming up, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye guys!